Obviously, the people in this room are very familiar with the term diagnostic odyssey. I think that the general public is actually starting to get a little inkling of it, although sometimes it's couched in other terms like medical mysteries. They see that on TV, they see it in the newspaper. In fact, the Washington Post has a medical mysteries column that they run periodically. I'm very proud to say that there was a medical mystery published the other day that featured an NIH researcher who was very key in solving that. So I was very happy about that. At the NIH, we've heard about the diagnostic odyssey for many, many years. We work quite a bit with the rare disease community, and we'd heard about it. We'd never really been able to quantitate what was going on until about 2007. And what we did at that point was to take a look at all the inquiries that were coming into our Genetic and Rare Disease Information Center, the GARD Center that many of you may have heard about. And these come in by phone call, by email. Sometimes they come in inquiries on the website itself. And what we found was that about between 6 and 7% of the hundreds of monthly inquiries that we were getting were from people who were on this diagnostic odyssey. And at that point in time, this meant that there were thousands of people who had come to us looking for help on their way. And it wasn't that they didn't necessarily have a diagnosis, but what happened was they had an incorrect diagnosis, and then they would get an incorrect treatment, an ineffective treatment, and then the cycle would begin. They would go and try to get another diagnosis. I mean, many of these people were sending us their medical files for any type of help. Despite the obvious lack of privacy. The cycle really needed to stop. So at that point, the leadership in our office met with the leadership of the NIH Clinical Center and researchers at the Genome Institute, and that was really the beginning of the Undiagnosed Diseases Program. And then the Undiagnosed Diseases Program eventually morphed into the Undiagnosed Diseases Network, which you heard about a little bit already. But one of the other outcomes from this analysis, beside the UDEP and the UDN, which obviously was significant, was for me personally, it really crystallized this idea that there's a difference between treatable and actionable. And obviously, treatable is the endpoint that everyone would like to reach. And it's a requirement for the RUSP. If you're in newborn screening, you have to have a treatment before you can get on the RUSP. But for many in rare diseases, and especially for many of those who are in the undiagnosed pathway, really what they are looking for is actionable information. Being able to end that diagnostic odyssey is an action. Stopping the inappropriate treatments is an action. Being able to figure out how this impacts children, their families, is an action. And all of this is critical to being able to move on with their lives. I want to skip a few things since I don't have too much time. So obviously the short-term goal of the Undiagnosed Diseases Network was to learn how to treat or diagnose people faster and as early as possible, but eventually to even try to figure out how we can do this when patients are pre-symptomatic. How do we get ahead of the curve? The reason this is important, I mean, we heard a little bit already, but I have one colleague who is in the rare disease space who has a child who was at the time they were diagnosed. It was the youngest child ever diagnosed with this disease who didn't have a sibling with that disease. And it was a very astute pediatrician who noticed some things of concern and then moved them on to a specialist, and they were diagnosed early. There was no treatment available for this disease, but one of the hallmarks of the disease is deafness, acquired deafness. They were able to get the child fitted for hearing aids at a very early age so cognitive development could continue. There were also behavioral issues that are typically seen. They were able to get behavioral therapy, which not only meant a better life for the child, but a better life for the parents. None of these get to the underlying pathophysiology of the disease, but they do make the family and the patient that much happier. Another example is from the Undiagnosed Diseases Network, where one of our participants was diagnosed. They went on and then tested the participants' children and found they had the same thing. They were able to then follow these children to be able to monitor them so that they can go ahead and begin treatment at a point that will make sense before they start coming across any of the negative things that brought them to the UDN. Ultimately, the purpose of the UDN is to really to put itself out of business. The goal is to develop these diagnostic processes, to spread them to other researchers, to other clinicians, so that we can be able to more easily research, and the diagnostic before it even stops. There are a number of programs that NIH has that will help with this. The RDCRN, the Genome has a number of programs too. And hopefully in the future we will be able to develop several other programs that will help end the diagnostic odyssey. Thank you.